Well, the Astros have climbed into first place. The pitching has really been the hallmark of 2025. Two players are having career years, the end of an era in 2025. And could we have seen the greatest catch of all time in a baseball game out west? We'll talk about it on this edition. Back to the bullpen.
I'm looking to the bullpen to bring my lefty in. Keep the lead and make your team look pedestrian. It's in your wheelhouse, we'll swing for the fence. You know it's money around here, and I ain't talking expense. Strike one, heat low in the way, you can't hit it. You know you want to start a rally, but you better forget it. Strike two, off speed, same spot, your car looking. Get ready at the plate, this time you're not cooking. Strike three, swinging out of the zone. You ain't even touch it first. Tell me how they gonna drive you home. Walking back, looking like we ain't cool then. The game's over, might as well put them back to the bullpen, oh yeah.
Hey there, everybody, and welcome back to the bullpen. I'm H-Town Wheelhouse. You know where to find me. You know where to find the show. We're not going to spend forever telling you that. You know where to find this guy, Mike Stanton. Mike Stanton, where can they find you on social media? Tell us, because there's only one place, right?
There is only one place, and you can see it. It's down there at the bottom. It is X. It's Mike Stanton 29. So this has been an interesting week. Yeah, you see the list over here on the side of what we're going to talk about. And yeah, we're going to start off by talking about the end of a possible era.
Yeah. Not the end of the playoff era, because we're still in it, Mike. We're still in it.
Not that era.
Not that era. The Forest Whitley era. Look, you had 19 years in the big leagues. You talked to me about this where, Forest Whitley was one of the most highly touted arms when he was drafted. You came in more, I guess, under the radar compared to the way Whitley came in, but you went on to have a 19-year career. So just because someone's drafted number one, unfortunately, that doesn't always spell success. But I think Forest Whitley, too, has run into some bad luck and into some bumps. That's just a kind of a normal part of life. What's your take on this? I mean, the Astros did vie for another year because of injuries to keep him on the roster and give him one more shot.
Well, and we're not exactly sure if he is completely done with the Astros because, it's up to the Astros. Once he clears waivers, once they put him on waivers, then he clears waivers, then they have the opportunity, because he doesn't have 3 years in the big leagues, to give him a minor league assignment. And because he doesn't have much big league time, he doesn't have a choice but to take it. So we'll have to see what that is. I don't know if they are done with this, if they're done with Forrest or not. He's had a lot of chances, and there's been a lot of injuries. There's been a lot of lack of performance, but there's still, every once in a while, we see, the talent that Forrest has always had. It's just been one of those situations that just simply hasn't worked out for anybody. The Astros obviously wanted Forrest to do better. Forrest wanted to make the big leagues and be a substantial contributor, but it just really hasn't happened. And every time we've seen him at the big league level, the stuff, the radar gun says one thing, but the hitters are saying something else. And he just hasn't been able to consistently get hitters out.
Yeah. So basically, I mean, he had all zeros across, whether it was wins, losses, or saves. He only pitched in 5 games this year, a 12.57 ERA. His last outing was against Tampa. He allowed 5 runs, 4 hits, 2 walks, 3 strikeouts in 2 innings. He's already had 2 IL stints on the early season. There was at one point where he threw 2 innings and got 4 strikeouts. And he kind of showed a little bit of promise this year towards the end of last season in AAA Sugarland. I mean, from what he was recruited and how he looked when he was first brought up, because that was a decade ago. That was
I think 17.
Yeah,
I think he was our number 1 pick, 17.
Yeah.
It's one. If you go back and you look at the history of the draft, taking a high school pitcher is a pretty shady proposition. It does not work out nearly as often as you may think. And I think that's why, you see a lot more. If you're going to take somebody out of high school, usually it's more hitters than it is pitchers, just simply because you can project a little bit more. And, Forrest, part of what has been the issue has been his health. He just simply has not been able to stay healthy. He's a big dude. He was, my gosh, when he was drafted, he looked like he weighed about 147 pounds because he was so tall and thin. And he still is tall and thin, but He is definitely filled out. And you still see the velocity. The velocity has still been mid-upper 90s. The Astros, kind of got tired of waiting on him to develop into a starting pitcher. They put him in relief. And like you said, the end of last year, he actually looked like he was making strides in AAA to become a real big league reliever. It just simply didn't happen. Got hurt a couple more times. And, there has to be frustration on everybody's in everybody's camp here. But, for Forrest, you see this quite a bit that, does this mean his career is over? No. Somebody's going to give him an opportunity, and hopefully he can figure things out as he gets closer to 30. And a lot of times you see that guys that are really accident prone are really, spend a lot of time on the IL in their early 20s, in their mid 20s. It's not until they get into their late 20s, maybe even 30, before they kind of figure out exactly what their body needs to get on the field, how to stay healthy, how to go get hitters out when maybe you don't have your best stuff, all that kind of stuff. And that all comes with maturity. I just don't know if that maturity is going to happen with the Astros, or the Astros can go ahead and cut him loose and he's going to have to go somewhere else.
Yeah, exactly. Some guys just have to where they spend, some guys will spend years and years and years in the minor leagues, and then they'll finally make it to the majors. When I think back on guys that spent a lot of time in the minor leagues, you got to look at someone like Woody Williams out of Alvin High School. I actually have a connection with him, and I would like to try to bring him on the show sometime, because I think he was a rookie when he was 29 or 30 or something like that. He was pretty up there in age, and his stats rival a lot of really great pitchers during that era as a starter. He was excellent.
Well, Woody was also a position player in college at Alvin Community College, and then U of H. I think at U of H is when they turned him into a full-time pitcher. Woody was just a year or two older than me. We didn't play together, but I think we played against each other.
Okay.
Because I got drafted out of Alvin in 1987, and I think he was there in 86 and went to U of H.
Okay.
And then he got drafted out of U of H. So
I didn't know there was a connection there.
Oh yeah, I know Woody.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
We need to, because I haven't talked to Woody, and actually the last time I actually spoke with Woody was he was pitching for the Cardinals, and it was the last game of the season in Phoenix. And a friend of mine happened to be a pastor out there who grew up with Woody Williams, one of his best friends. And I said, "Hey, I'm going to the Cardinals game." And he's like, "You should go with us. You can meet some of the Cardinals with us." And I got to meet Eduardo Perez and, other guys like that, Jim Edmonds, Albert Pujols. But Woody Williams was there, got to hang out with his family. That was really neat. But that was like the last game of that season. And then Woody later came to the Astros, but he had a really good career.
He did.
When he came up, was very solid.
Well, he was the consummate pitcher. He did not have a high end fastball. He wasn't a guy that was throwing, even back then. If you threw mid 90s, you were throwing hard, but he didn't throw anything. He knew how to move the ball around. He could change speeds. He could read hitters, and that's what made him successful. He had multiple pitches he could throw for strikes, and that's so Woody was never really a top of the rotation guy, but he was a solid middle of the rotation guy that could pitch a big game for you, that could, obviously in the National League could still swing the bat well, being a hitter in college. So there was a lot of things Woody could do, but he was a guy that He had to pitch. He had to throw multiple pitches for strikes. He had to, because he just simply wasn't going to sit out there and blow you away. But you know what? There were a lot more pitchers back then there are now, because now it's all about the data. It's all about the spin rate. It's all about, lighting up the radar gun. And the art of pitching, which is what Woody was good at, has kind of gone down to the wayside.
Yeah, exactly. And I guess the reason why I mention that is because, where Woody spent several years in the minors, he finally broke out and made it, because, when he went there, 132 wins, Mike, 1,480 strikeouts. A solid career. And then the flip side of that is the guys that don't make it, like the Forest Whitley.
Sure.
And you just never know how to predict. It even goes back to kind of the basis that they made Moneyball about, where they kind of highlighted Billy Beane like being one of the top prospects and
with the Mets. Yeah.
And
even the movie, the whole idea of the movie with Hatteberg, I played with Hatteberg in Boston. Wow. And he was a catcher at the time, but the movie was I don't know how really accurate it was. Right. I know there were a lot of people that didn't like it, and Houston legend Art Howell was one of those. He did not like the way they projected him in the movie. And the biggest problem with Moneyball, they didn't show their pitchers. They didn't.
Oh no, they had a great.
They had a great rotation.
Was it Bob Welsh?
No.
Oh,
this was
Mulder,
Zito, and Hudson.
Okay, sorry, Bob Welsh. Wow, I went back.
Yeah, you went way back. You went back in the 80s. It was, and those dudes just flat out shoved. That had as much to do with them winning at that time. And I think there was one clip they showed, Hudson pitching in a game or something, but
wasn't Miguel Tejada on that team too?
I think so. Yeah,
and they didn't talk about him at all.
No. Well, no, they didn't.
Yeah, but Miguel Tejada. But look, drama-wise, great movie, okay? But when I heard the Art Howell thing, I was like, well, number one, I was like, could we get someone that actually looks like Art Howell to play Art Howell? Number one. Number two, when Art Howell said how upset, he was like, our relationship was never like that. It made for a good movie, right?
Well, to start off with, Art Howell is the nicest person on the planet.
That's in.
We have the 6 degrees of, I guess maybe myself. I played for Art Howell.
Okay.
When Art was the manager for the New York Mets.
Okay.
And as much as I love Art Howell, Art was not the right person to be put in New York, especially in Queens, because it was so combative. He's the one that replaced Bobby Valentine. Bobby Valentine was loved, especially by the media. And Art, that just was not a good mix. We didn't play well, so that didn't help. But Art Howell, just, salt of the earth. He is just one of the nicest people. Soft-spoken, very good baseball mind, but, just as laid back as you could get. So I know for a fact, because I talked to Art about it, because, we, several years ago, we did some pre and post games together with the Astros. So we sit around talking baseball all the time. And he was not happy with how they treated him.
I can imagine. So the Houston Astros were,
to get back to the Astros.
Yeah. At one point, they were almost in the cellar, and now they're squarely in first place. And Mike, I want to bring this up because I don't know if you're aware of this. They have had the toughest schedule in the major leagues to this point. They have only played 15 games versus teams under 500. So when you look at the teams that have had the least toughest schedule, the Yankees, the Dodgers, the Mets, the Padres, and the Mariners have all had super easy schedules. Now, I'm not saying the Mets and the Yankees and the Dodgers are going to fall off.
Right.
But I like the Astros' chances going forward, Mike. If that means the schedule is going to get easier because they are going to have the dog days of summer where it gets deep in and you've got pitchers that have been overused. So hopefully, we'll talk about it in a second, the offense can start scoring more than a certain number of runs. But what do you think about them being in first place right now? I honestly didn't think they would be here yet, but here they are.
Yeah. So deja vu all over again, to look at what happened last year. Now, last year was a little bit more epic because they were so far down, 7 games under 500, 3.5 weeks later. The Seattle Mariners helped them out by folding, but they're in first place and over 500. They're 6 or 7 games over 500 right now.
Yeah.
But why are they over 500? The Seattle Mariners have done it again. They did win tonight. They're 2 games over 500. But the Astros have a 2.5 game lead. I mean, and this is, and you look at how the Astros have done this, where this offense has been, such an integral part of the Astros winning in previous years. Well, it's not really the case this year. They are, at best mid-pack, depending on what stat you use as far as where they rank in the league. Average-wise, I think they're 22nd. No, runs scored. I'm sorry. Runs scored. They're 22nd in Major League Baseball, so they're well down. So what have the Astros done? They've pitched their butts off. Even with more injuries that they've had, Ronel Blanco's the last one to go under the knife. These guys are still winning baseball games. Now, they've also done very good job at home, okay? But they've picked it up at home on the road, where they've always been a better road team than home team anyways. This team has, I think they're just, 2 or 3 games under 500 now on the road. So they've played well on the road, especially this road trip that they were just on.
I mean, and they at home, so many of my friends would tell me, yeah, my wife won't go to the game anymore. I'm like, why? She thinks she's the reason they're losing. I'm like, no, tell her it doesn't matter who's at the stadium. They're losing home games, period. And, this year, I think they're 22-12 right now at home. Yeah. And look, also, when you look at the pitching, I pulled up there's this crazy X site called Brooksgate. And the Astros, I'm going to show this. The Astros actually lead in most strikeouts for pitchers, 623. Mm-hmm. Now, unfortunately, if you're Baltimore, they couldn't find anything other than the heaviest team by average weight, at fattest, if you ask me. Poor Adley Rutschman is tipping the scales there. Colorado has the most triples.
Triple stadium. Yep.
But look at the Pirates. Best record on Wednesday, 9-1. I mean,
so you don't want to play. You don't want to pitch against them on Wednesday.
Or Washington Nationals, most games won as the betting underdog, 27. So maybe they're overachieving. The Washington Nationals may have another magical run, but this has been a year, the year of the pitcher, the year of the bullpen.
One of the things. Let me tell you this. Another stat. It's gonna be paralysis by analysis here.
There you go.
The Astros are 9th in Major League Baseball in ERA, okay? But their ERA is 3.5. I mean, they have a very good overall ERA. That's an outstanding ERA. But there's 8 teams that have better ERAs. So this has been kind of the year of the pitcher. As far as the offense is concerned, I know I've harped on them scoring 3 runs or fewer, okay? And it's 35. So they're still over half of their games. They've scored 3 runs or fewer. Now they've won 12 of those, but still, that's a tough way to win. Here's the crazy thing. Okay. They are 24-6 when scoring 4 runs or more. That's a winning percentage of 800. They win 80% of the baseball games that they score 4 runs or more. So, what is the equation? Get that 4th run, man. Figure out how to score that 4th run. You're probably
figure out how to get it across the plate, and I mean, Mike, it's so frustrating to watch some of the blunders you see, like the base running blunders where Altuve, I don't even know what he was doing between second and third, just stops. Now I don't know if he gets in a rundown and goes and the guy from third goes home.
Yeah.
But it is frustrating. And I guess I'm echoing what I see out in the fan stratosphere. There are just things that sometimes this club does. Now they've been really good scoring with 2 outs.
Yep.
Cam Smith got a 2-out double, scored 2 runs. They ended up losing the game 4-2. They've got a hell of a defense behind them, behind the pitchers with Jacob Melton just making crazy catches. But this team really, because of their anemic offense, they have a razor-thin margin of error in the pitching department.
True.
And
that puts pressure on the defense. I mean,
Yes.
it's everything. But you know what? Listen, we can complain about it all we want. They are solidly in first place with the 2.5 game lead.
Yeah.
Am I surprised? I don't know if I'd say surprised, but it is nice to see, because I don't, going into this season, I think there were some serious question marks. Listen, they're still not even close to halfway, so there's still a lot of baseball to be played. But like you said, they have played the hardest schedule, so you gotta like what's happened so far this year. And I haven't heard of a time frame to get Yordan back, but that would be a big help in the middle of this lineup.
It would be huge. Well, I don't know if you heard Dana Brown's words this weekend. He said, let me tell you, does this invoke confidence, Mike? Dana Brown said, and I quote, "By the end of the week, Yordan Alvarez should be able to pick up a bat."
I mean, you can look, is that half full or half empty? I
don't know. Hey, I'm always positive, always Stros, Mike. You know me.
Right.
I mean, it's like,
oh, that's right. I'm supposed to be the optimist here.
Yeah. I'm like the Astros colored glasses guy, but I heard that and I was like, are they being honest with us? And of course, Dana said they're going to look, they've been doing more hand imaging because DeCenzo has a hand issue. And I'm like, I don't know, man. It just seems like you're a multi-billion-dollar company. Like, how do you miss these things? I don't get it. But not to harp on that, because I do want to get to this here in a second. I want to talk about Pena. I want to talk about Meyers, but I got to remind y'all that 2 sponsors bring us your show. State-of-the-art barbershop with Ever Cruz, 1616 South Friendswood Drive. He's actually about to move locations into the Sanctuary Gym. So when you go there, not only can you lift weights and hit the golf simulator, you can get your hair cut. So it's kind of a one-stop shop. Him and my friend John are teaming up there. So that'll be cool. Also, in the corner here is a QR code where you can get a shirt that the pros wear, like Mike Stanton. Notice I didn't call myself a pro. I'm a procrastinator, but yeah, you can get one of these shirts, and Ram Shirts provides them. Not only does Ram Shirt provide this shirt, he's got many others. I've got a closet that has about 10 Ram Shirts products in my wardrobe. So Mark puts together an amazing product, and hey, go check him out on Instagram. Blummer did a little men's health. June is Men's Health Awareness Month. And Blummer talked about the ups and the downs of his major league career and having a family and all that stuff. And so make sure y'all are checking on the men in your life. Father's Day is also coming up here pretty soon.
Yeah, right around the corner.
Yeah. So Jeremy Pena, Jake Myers, Jeremy Pena, who I think is going to garner quite a few all-star votes. He's going against Jack Wilson with the Athletics, who's become the best hitter suddenly in baseball, contact hitter that is. And then Bobby Witt Jr., who's not having the best year, but Jeremy Pena is right there with them. So you got Jeremy Pena having a career year in every offensive category. His glove just continues to amaze in his throws. And then Jake Myers, who people are saying, move this guy up in the lineup, get him out of the 7-hole, put him third, put him fourth, get Christian Walker out of the 4-hole. He's back.
Not going to happen.
But Mike, why? I mean, Jake Myers, let's start with this. Jake Myers, Jeremy Pena, talk about them, and then we'll talk about the lineup construction.
Okay, Jeremy has done an outstanding job of just making more contact, more solid contact. I mean, he's never been a big strikeout guy, but we've seen him in previous years. There's just a lot of weak contact. We've seen him drive the ball, which that's something new for Jeremy. I know there was, a lot of talk about swing adjustments and all that kind of stuff, but, still very, very fast. There's infield hits there. So he's done a really nice job, even though the power has kind of tapered off a little bit. Jake Myers on the other side is, we've always known that he's a tremendous defensive player. And we've seen him at times swing the bat pretty well in small spurts. But now I think he's back up over 300 after that last game in Cleveland.
Yeah.
And he's doing a great job of just making more solid contact. And,
right.
Is he going to be able to keep this up? I don't know. But the one thing that you don't want to do, just because somebody is hot, you don't want to mess with them. You don't want to, if they're asleep, give them the pillow. Make sure they stay asleep. You don't want them to wake up and figure out what reality is, by looking at the back of his baseball card. So I think that's a big reason why they haven't done anything, is because it's not that they don't trust him. It's just that it ain't broke, don't fix it. You don't want him to change something just because you remember back in the day when AJ Hinch put George Springer in the leadoff spot. It worked out incredibly well for the Astros and for George Springer, but he actually changed his approach. Now, he changed it for the better, because when he was in the middle of the lineup, which he always had big power, there was all kinds of swing and miss. There was, over swings, and he's falling down at the plate because he's just trying to do too much. Well, then he turns around and goes to the leadoff spot, and he goes, well, now my job is just to get on base. Now he turns into one of the most powerful hitters in Major League Baseball. Yeah. He turns out to be, at the time, the most prolific leadoff hitter in all of baseball. And it was all because by being in the leadoff spot, it made him kind of turn everything down a little bit. Right. So now all of a sudden he's much more under control, and the results speak for themselves. I mean, he was an MVP caliber player, but you don't want to mess with Jake. He's hot right now. He's been hot for a good portion of the season. Leave him there and let him stay hot. I mean, the Astros' bottom third of the lineup has been a big part of the runs that they have scored. That's been a big part of it, and Jake has been right in the middle of that.
So the Christian Walker dilemma. Christian Walker has just continued to just not be good. 206. He's striking out. His strikeout rate has jumped like 9% in the last 2 seasons. I mean, and what's weird is his bat speed hasn't dwindled.
Yeah.
But he cannot catch up to a 2-seam or a 4-seam down the middle to save his life. And again, I don't know, like, you've got, in one realm, you got Altuve draining the pocketbook, and he's a below average defender. And now you've also got on the books, Christian Walker. I just talking about his offense with Christian Walker. Does he turn this thing around? I mean, what happens after season 1? I mean, you're on the hook for him for the next 2 years. So he doesn't become tradable. You're stuck with a contract. What do you think they're doing behind the scenes to get this guy right? I mean, or is it just you have to hit your way out of it, kid?
They've probably tried both. They've probably tried heavy analytics. They probably tried looking and breaking down video like crazy. If that didn't work, then they turn around and just, hey, go out there, see ball, hit ball, and you try whatever. And, has his skills diminished? It's not for me to say. Right. I don't think so. I mean, when you see the swing looks the same. It's not like all of a sudden he's swinging underwater or something like that.
Right. True.
But so where is the biggest issue? Well, it's in between his ears. And I don't think I'm making some provocative statement by saying that, because that's where every problem starts, is in between the ears in the player's brain. And I think probably the struggles that he has been a big part of the struggles he's continuing to go through, which means he's just trying to do too much. A lot of what I just said about George in the middle of the lineup, just overswinging, trying to do too much, trying to hit a 5-run homer when there's nobody on, that kind of stuff.
Right.
Christian's probably going through the same thing. You think he's feeling the pressure of the contract? Of course he's feeling the pressure of the contract. And where is that pressure coming from? It's coming from himself. And that's where the biggest issue is going to be, when he can kind of just accept what's happened and get back to basics. Then, and listen, he has been better at the beginning of the season. He really was. I mean, it didn't look like he was gone through spring training at all.
You have seen an uptick. He had the big walk-off, home run the other day. I mean, and we know it's there, but every time you think he's showing it to be there, it just kind of like evaporates. And
well, the sample size is big enough now that he could go on a 10-game hitting streak and hit like 400. And it's not going to do a whole lot to his batting average, because now he's kind of built up a big enough at bat total that it's going to take a prolonged hitting streak or prolonged hot streak for him to get the batting average back up to respectable. And I think what he needs to do now is just ignore it. Just ignore the batting average. Just go out and try and put the quality at bats together when there's somebody on base. I mean, what did the Astros really bring him in for? Did they bring him in to have a high batting average? Not really. They brought him in to hit some home runs. They brought him in to drive in runs. So when you get those opportunities, that is when that's when you need to excel. And like you said, he has gotten better in those categories.
He has gotten better in those categories. Speaking of categories, I believe Jeremy Pena is, I don't know if he's on pace to have 100 hits at the All-Star break, but he's pretty darn close. Mm-hmm. It would be cool to see someone like Jeremy Pena get 200 hits in a season. Now, does he get there? I don't know. But Jake Myers had a 4-hit game. That was nice. Yeah. Even though it was a loss. And look, I don't have the Jacob Melton catch dialed up, but did you see the Jacob Melton?
I did.
Icing life and limb.
And it was a true robbed home run. He jackknifed over the top of the timing was perfect. I mean, I don't want to say he ran up the wall like Bo Jackson, because Bo Jackson never got to the top of the wall, but he timed it perfectly. Plant the right foot on the wall, go up halfway over the wall, and almost fell over the wall, and brought it back in for a home run robbing catch.
Yes,
it was a spectacular. And you know what? Even better, he made it look really easy.
Yeah, let's take a look at this. The kid from Oakland that did this, his last name is Clark, was a phenomenal catch. And then I want to ask you about the Jacob Melton catch, which I don't have the tape of, but the Jacob.
Oh, wait, I described the wrong home run.
Yeah. No, it's okay. No, it's okay. It's okay. So Jacob Melton made the diving, sliding catch down the right field line, where he almost went headfirst into the wall. And, I think the catch percentage, the catch total was completely off. No, I threw you a curveball. I started talking about one, and my undiagnosed ADD went into another play. So that was on me. But let's watch this young stud center fielder from Sacramento or Las Vegas or whatever. Let's just watch.
Uber? Yeah.
Nolan Shotwell with a fly ball left center field. Denzel Clark racing back. He's all the way back. He's at the wall. He climbs it. He caught it. I can't believe it. Denzel Clark with a sensational catch. How did he do it?
How did he do it? That's the question. How did he do it?
Great concentration, great timing, great situational awareness, knowing exactly where the wall was. Because if you notice, he never looked down. And he put that right foot on the wall to get the extension up and then stay in the ballpark. Because I think
he almost
if he falls over the fence, I think it's a home run.
Yeah, I do too. Yeah, it's funny. I saw that because this week someone had replayed somewhere on social media in Yankee Stadium when I think it was Yankee Stadium whenever Jose Canseco was on the Rangers and he's running in the outfield for the fly ball and it bounces off his head and goes maybe he was on the Yankees.
He was not on the Yankees. Okay. He was on the Rangers.
He was on the Rangers.
He was on the Rangers.
I was like, so I saw that. And then when I saw that catch today, I'm like, those are two complete opposite moments. But that catch, like you said, the concentration to watch the ball the whole way, to jump up the wall as high, because he almost jumped too high onto the wall. And then he, like you said, almost like he did a spin. And I was just like, I was so impressed with that.
And as a pitcher, whoever I didn't see who the pitcher was. He owes him dinner for sure. Yeah. You got to get him a Happy Meal or something, because
he was shocked.
He definitely deserved that, because that had earned run written all over it.
Oh, big time. No, that was
especially if he wins an arbitration or something like that, that helps his salary next year, not giving up that run.
Exactly. And actually, and Oakland's actually losing 5-2. But oh well. And hey, I was going to update you. Seattle is playing Arizona right now.
Okay.
And Arizona's actually winning 2-0.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I know that I just looked before the show started that I guess going into today's game, Seattle was 2 games over 500. So
yes. Yeah.
We're very close to the Astros being the only team above 500 in the division.
Yes, exactly. It was, let's see, I'm trying to see who the pitcher was for Oakland. But anyways, yeah, no, that was a great rob. That was a great stab. I mean, some people are like, is this the greatest catch ever? And I'm like, it could be a top 10 catch. That's such a hard thing, Mike, because when you go through it's
subjective.
Yeah.
I mean,
you go through the annals of time of baseball, and I think if you're going to literally sit down and talk about the greatest catches of all time, to me, you've got to take into account what would that catch, like what would have resulted if that catch wasn't made? Was it
the situation,
was it a playoff? Was it a World Series?
Yeah, I have
no hitter saving catch kind of
a
thing.
Similar catch by Otis Nixon when I was with the Atlanta Braves. I didn't throw it, but I was there, and he did the same thing, but in right center field at Fulton County Stadium. Fulton County Stadium, he got above the wall. Now, it wasn't as dramatic because his belly wasn't on the wall.
Right.
But the fence was much taller. And he still got over the wall and brought back a home run. That was
wow.
And that one meant something because that was later in the year. I don't remember the exact situation, but we were in a race and that would have meant something.
That's awesome. Well, you talk about great catches in Astros history, Chas McCormick's catch in Philadelphia.
Against the wall in right center field.
Where the person over the fence took a picture of the dirt and his number was imprinted into the dirt. I mean, that's how, that means he hit the ground pretty hard. Yeah. But no, that's great to see it, because look, in Sacramento, or the Athletics, whatever you're going to call them, they've got some really exciting young talent.
They do. They don't have a great record, but they are definitely building that thing, and they've built it pretty quickly. They've got some good young players. You have to buckle your chin strap when you go into Sacramento, because those dudes are playing good baseball.
They are. Well, Mike, thank you for joining me once again. I always love talking about just the different things, the experiences, and your knowledge is impeccable. So we thank y'all for stopping by and listening. We got 100 of y'all watching live. Thank y'all so much. Again, you'll notice all over our YouTube station, you'll see Wheelhouse Media Company. I want y'all to check out Houston Sports Download this week, and we will be bringing you some more content, not only from this show and other shows. So make sure you're subscribed to Wheelhouse Media Company YouTube channel and check us out. And look, if you see Mike tweet something like something about the Astros, you can ask him a question. He'll answer a question. So, and maybe sometime soon we'll get to a live event, and maybe we can pull Mike out of the studio or out of the cage. Maybe he can come hang out with us. So, y'all have a good one, and thank y'all for tuning in. As always, go Stros.
Adios.
I'm looking to the bullpen to bring my lefty in. Keep the lead and make your team look pedestrian. It's in your wheelhouse, we'll swing for the fence. You know it's money around here, and I ain't talking expense. Strike one, hit it low in the way you can't hit it. You know you want to start a rally, but you better forget it. Strike two, off speed, same spot your car looking. Get ready at the plate this time. time, you're not cooking. Strike three, swinging out of the zone. You ain't even touch it first. Tell me how they gonna drive you home. Walking back, looking